This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Good evening, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for May 2, 2023. And in the news this evening, former cashier accused of stealing money from loan company granted bail. A former cashier who allegedly stole $340,000 from a microloan company in St. Catherine was granted $180,000 bail on Tuesday. She is Stephanie Fritz, 25 years old, of Crofts Hill, Clarendon. When Fritz appeared in the St. Catherine Parish Court before Senior Parish Court Judge Jacqueline Wilcott, she was ordered to report to the Crofts Hill Police Station 3 times weekly. She is to reappear in court on June 27. It is alleged that on April 8, the operators of microlending company Torpedo Loans conducted checks and realized that $340,000 was missing. Fritz was taken into custody on suspicion of larceny as a servant. She was later charged. Police still trying to ascertain identity of Portmore murder victim. The St. Catherine South Police are still trying to ascertain the identity of a man who was killed during an attack by gunmen on Monday, in which 3 others were also injured. About 2:10 p.m., the 4 people were reportedly at a premises along Oleander Drive in Brighton, Portmore, St. Catherine, when they were approached by 3 armed men. The men fired shots hitting all 4 persons. They were taken to the hospital, where the unidentified man died from gunshot injuries. The other 3 persons were admitted. Health Ministry pledges to address breaches in COVID-19 spending. The Ministry of Health has pledged to attend to the breaches in spending on COVID-19 identified in the performance audit conducted by the Auditor General. The Public Accounts Committee of Parliament went through the audit report with Permanent Secretary in the Health Ministry, Dunson Bryan, answering questions about his stewardship as the Chief Accounting Officer. PAC Chairman Julian Robinson told the committee Tuesday morning that the minister wrote to the PAC accepting that proper procurement procedures were not followed for engaging contractors for infrastructure work. The Auditor General found that the $129 million works for COVID-19 expenditure lacked formal contracts. The PAC chairman, reading a letter from the ministry, said steps have been taken to obtain proper documentation so that the contractors can be held to account. In the letter, the Ministry of Health explained that it was not a usual practice to not have in place formal contracts for infrastructure works, but it said the urgency of the COVID-19 pandemic required these works to be executed at a very short notice, which precluded the issuance of formal contracts.
The ministry wishes to highlight that this is not a usual practice to not have in place formal contracts for infrastructure works. However, the exigencies of the COVID-19 pandemic required these works to be executed at a very short notice, which precluded the issuance of formal contracts. Notwithstanding the foregoing, it is to be noted importantly that formal requests for quotes were issued to these contractors, outlining the bills of quantities and the performance requirements. Further, the contractors' letters of quotations and the ministry's acceptance thereof forms a binding contract between the ministry and the contractor as prescribed in the GOJ's standard bidding documents. This would provide the ministry with some recourse for poor or non-performance of the works.
Full service being restored to Spanish Town Depot following cable theft. The Island Traffic Authority says a full service should be restored to the Spanish Town Depot in St. Catherine today. The ITA says operations at the facility have been disrupted since last week when fiber optic cables belonging to telecommunications company Flow were stolen in the Joe Blaine area. Aaron Mattis, president of the Spanish Town Taxi Association, said motorists who sought to renew their fitness certificates were inconvenienced by having to go to other locations to complete the process.
It is very inconvenient because I can't see a depot out of action because of internet problem for almost a week now. Because from last week Wednesday I was told and today is Tuesday. So you're talking about almost 8 days. And never, PPV operators fitness up every 6 months, not 1 year like the private man. So in 6 months' time, every operators need to do them fitness. So some are We need to do it now on some almost up. So what you're going to find is that operators now is going to have to leave Spanish Town, go into town to get their fitness done.
Ken Youth, director of the ITA, said a team from Flow is working with the administrators at the depot to return its systems to full operation.
We have been in communication with the utility companies. The systems have been basically put back in place. We are presently at the moment right now testing our systems right now at the Spanish Town depot to ensure that everything is brought up back to speed. So we hope that before the end of the day, everything will be fine. So we should be able to print fitness directly there now.
Dental surgeons continue sick out. For a second straight day, dental surgeons in the public health sector are staging a sick out. The action is being taken by the dental surgeons to press the government over monies owed to them under the public sector wage review. Dr. Vanessa Kiffen, president of the Jamaica Association of Public Dental Surgeons, says that there has still been no word from the Ministry of Finance on their compensation. She says that the association last met with representatives of the Finance Ministry on April 5, but since then, there has been no progress on the talks. Dr. Kiffen says in addition to the outstanding monies, the dental surgeons have expressed a concern over the lack of investment in facilities in the public health sector. She says the dental surgeons are eager to wrap up the talks, but are pledging to keep up their protest until there is word either from the Ministry of Finance or the Ministry of Health on their grosses. JPs urged not to advertise or accept pay for services. Justices of the peace are being told not to advertise or accept pay for their services. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck, who issued the caution, reminded JPs at an event in St. Catherine recently that their services are free of cost. Mr. Chuck said public display signs are not recommended.
Firstly, I don't think it is appropriate to have people put up signs, Office of the GP. I see it when I go across Jamaica. It is inappropriate. It is not a profession. It's a voluntary service, and as I've said to many GPs, when people offer you $1,000 or $5,000, refuse it. Your integrity is worth much more. Your integrity is priceless. You have over 1,600 GPs, and there may be less than a dozen who are bringing the role of GPs into disrepute. It is important that you identify them, bring them to the attention of the custos, and hopefully, after the appropriate disciplinary action, they can be decommissioned.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.